So I noticed a guy armed, shooting. So I thought initially that he was a policeman or...
An imam of one of the New Zealand mosques that were attacked on Friday recalls how he and other fellow worshippers escaped from the deadly attack. Nearly 600,000 people have been affected by the floods and some 1.7 million were in the path of the cyclone in Mozambique. German Chancellor Angela Merkel expressed her hope for an orderly withdrawal of the UK from the EU, despite growing doubts in Europe about the future of Brexit. These are the headlines, more coming on your way on The World Today. It's 10:30 p.m. in Istanbul, 12:30 p.m. in Washington State, 19:30 GMT here in the Gambia. You're watching The World Today Evening Bulletin. We now kick off with our first story. An imam of one of the New Zealand's mosques that were attacked on Friday recalled how he and other fellow worshippers escaped from the deadly attack. Latif Alabi, the Linwood Mosque acting imam, said that he was standing near a window facing Main Road during the incident. He said he thought initially he was a policeman or an army person chasing someone to their compound, but after noticing that two people were killed, he then realized that he is a murderer and that he is coming to kill them. Here is an insert. Let's take a look.
I was the one standing next to the window, the front window, facing the main road. So I noticed a guy armed, shooting. So I thought initially that he was a policeman or an army chasing someone to our compound. So I felt some safety that there shouldn't be any problem. But after noticing that the two people, then I realized that he's a killer. He's a murderer. He's coming to kill us. Then I quickly told everybody to get down. Everybody should get down. But people were not, they didn't listen to me. Then I pulled them, get down, get down. We are being shot. Some people are being shot outside. So while saying that, he has gone through the back of the masjid and he shot one of our brothers praying. So when that guy fell down and the glass got broken, then people realized. So everybody went on the floor. Everybody was on the floor. Myself and Abdulaziz, we rushed to the door. And Abdulaziz picked the ATM machine, small ATM machine, and he threw it on him. So he went back. So he actually, maybe he thought it was a weapon, so he went back. After that, he dropped the gun, the long gun with him, the machine gun. He dropped it on the floor. So Abdulaziz followed him. Since he dropped the gun, so he's unarmed. So Abdulaziz followed him, and he picked the machine gun. Then he took another small gun, to shoot Abdulaziz. After that, I think the bullet got finished because it's a small gun. Then he walks to the car to pick another automatic machine gun. But before he could pick that, Abdulaziz threw the big one, the small one. He threw it on his windscreen, and it blasted the windscreen, and he took to he ran away. So that's how he was saved. So it wasn't like a no, if he managed to get into our masjid also, we'll be all killed.
The acting imam at New Zealand, giving us a brief enlightenment on what actually happened on that sad Friday. The Gambia, from the 23rd to the 26th March, will hold the Pan-African Youth Conference. The conference, which is one of Africa's biggest youth gatherings, is organized by the National Youth Council and African Youth Commission in collaboration with the government of the Gambia, UN System in the Gambia, Kanifing Municipal Council, Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Child Fund the Gambia. Joining me in the studio, I have Kausa Silla, the Executive Secretary of the African Youth Commission, who will give us a quick ride through the event's agenda and also give us an enlightenment on what will actually happen on the day. Kausu.
Thank you so much.
Kausu, where will the event take place and what will be the theme of this year's conference?
Thank you so much, Farmada, for having me on this news bulletin. The event will take place at Kairaba Beach Hotel in the Gambia. The theme of the event is "The Future is Now." The youth are not too young to lead. We thought it fitting to discuss these issues in Africa for the fact that if we can have a young person, maybe let me give an example of Mark Zuckerberg in his age of 20 can create Facebook, which is now a global platform that people are using it for many benefits. It's possible to have a young person in Africa to such innovation. And also, if we can have a young person in France, in the person of President Macron, at the age of 39, can become a president in France. Something like that nature can also happen in Africa. So basically, we are bringing together young people from over 40 countries to discuss.
We're expecting 40 delegates.
350.
350 delegates.
350 delegates from over 40 countries.
Okay.
Yeah, from over 40 countries.
Right. Yeah. Kindly enlighten us on some of the main issues that this conference will be addressing.
All right. Thank you so much. During the conference, we have different partners that are also hosting side events, but we are looking at discussing issues related to how we can increase youth political participation, not only political participation, but also increase youth participation in economic, in digital space, but also in environmental issues. We'll be discussing issues around how we can discuss issues related to peace and security in Africa. I mean, we've been seeing some African countries that are currently facing conflict. So how young people can actually come on board to ensure that we have a peaceful, united front in Africa. Those are the things that we'll be discussing, but also during the conference we'll be discussing around issues related to health, reproductive health. And then we have different partners that are also hosting side events during the conference. Basically, we'll be having close to 20 side events hosted by different partners, youth development across in the Gambia, but also outside the Gambia.
Okay. I understand this is the third edition. This is the third conference the AYC in collaboration with the NYC is holding. Yeah. How would you describe the results of the past conferences? Have they been very fruitful? Have they gone a long way in achieving something very tangible that African youths can really brag about?
Yeah, thank you so much, Fatumata. I can say that one example, bright example that I will give is the sad event that the AYC and National Youth Council co-organized during the Banyan Plus 10 on the African Youth Charter in 2016. Okay. One of the key recommendations that came out from that resolution was for our African leaders to establish Youth Development Fund. And that recommendation was channeled through the African Union Commission. So we are happy to report that as of that recommendation, African Union has allocated 1% of its budget to youth issues. During that conference also, we recommended that we have a special representative at the African Union level that will advocate but also bring youth voices, to whatever discussion that the African Union Commission is having. And we are happy to report that that decision was also honored. This year, African Union, the chairperson of the African Union decided to appoint a young lady in the person of Ms. Ayachevi as his special envoy on youth matters. So we can say that our recommendation has been honored, and this edition we are looking at how best we can have even more concrete recommendation to issues that are affecting young people in the Gambia.
All right, thank you very much, Kausu, for setting light on those very important matters. I'm sure we'll be getting back to you and your team to extract more information in our upcoming bulletins. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatman, for having me.
Nearly 600,000 people have been affected by the floods, and some 1.7 million were in the path of the cyclone, which left a large number of desperate people stranded by rapidly rising flood waters in Mozambique, a major humanitarian emergency that is getting bigger by the hour. The World Food Programme, WFP, is rushing food and working with the government and partners to reach 500,000 people with immediate food assistance. The World Food Programme, WFP, is rushing food and other assistance to large numbers of desperate people stranded by rapidly rising flood waters in Mozambique, a major humanitarian emergency that is getting bigger by the hour. Nearly 600,000 people have been affected by the floods and some 1.7 million were in the path of the cyclone. WFP is working with the government and partners to reach 500,000 people with immediate food assistance. A WFP staff member who flew over the area that has been inundated spoke of inland oceans extending for miles and miles in all directions. Helicopter airlifts of WFP high-energy biscuits, water and blankets are planned to large numbers of people crammed on the rooftops and elevated patches of land outside the port city of Beira, struck by a Category 4 cyclone on Thursday. Margot van der Velden, Director of Emergencies World Food Programme, said so the situation in Mozambique, they are confronted with communication completely broken.
So the situation in Mozambique, we're confronted with severe flooding and cyclone effects, 600,000 people affected, possibly even going up to 1.7 and more million people affected by cyclone and flooding. Communication completely broken, infrastructure severely damaged, particularly in the city of Beira, but also all the roads to Beira have been cut off. What WFP is doing at the moment, we're helping with the assessments, we're bringing in food through with airplanes and helicopters, we're bringing down helicopters, and we've started the food distribution for all the people affected in the flood and the cyclone affected areas.
Leading the emergency telecommunications response on behalf of the humanitarian community, WFP has been on the ground working to establish essential communication networks to support relief operations by government and humanitarian partners. Assessing the extent of the damage and needs remains a huge challenge, and WFP is using drones and satellite mapping to conduct assessments so that people in need can be identified and reached. WFP has surged additional staff to Mozambique, including emergency coordinators, air operations managers, and programming, logistics, and telecommunications experts. WFP will be providing high-energy biscuits to remote, hard-to-access areas and has already begun distributing easy-to-prepare fortified food, mainly super cereal, in Beira. The biscuits are part of a 20-ton consignment flown into Beira on Sunday from a WFP-run UN emergency response depot in Dubai. While WFP's warehouse in Beira was badly damaged by the cyclone, some food remained intact. From that stock, WFP is providing super cereal to displaced cyclone victims sheltering at the 18 schools and churches in Beira. Each center can accommodate up to 1,000 people. WFP is also planning to assist displaced people sheltering in the city of Dondon, north of Beira. Food stocks elsewhere in Mozambique and southern Africa are also being mobilized as part of WFP emergency response. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said she is very interested in having a very good relationship with Britain even after they leave the EU, because it is in the German interest and certainly in the interest of 27 EU member states. Her remarks came a day after British Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit plan faced a fresh hurdle in the UK after House of Commons Speaker ruled out another vote on her deal unless a significantly changed proposal was submitted. German Chancellor Angela Merkel on Tuesday expressed her hope for an orderly withdrawal of the UK from the EU, despite growing doubts in Europe about the future of Brexit. Until the very last hour of March 29, I will fight for an orderly leaving of the United Kingdom from the European Union, Merkel said at the annual Global Solidarity Summit in Berlin. I am very interested in having a very good relationship with Britain even after they leave the EU. It's in the German interest, and it is certainly in the interest of 27 EU member states, she added. Her remarks came a day after British Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit plan faced a fresh hurdle in the UK after House of Commons Speaker ruled out, while 48.1% voted to remain in the bloc. Boeing 737 company has sent a team of experts in Addis Ababa to support proof into the Ethiopian plane crash. The chief executive officer of the Boeing company has said work is in progress to learn more about the Ethiopian Airlines accident and understand the information from the airplane's cockpit voice and flight data recorders. It came after many countries including Turkey, Canada, US and Russia closed their airspace to Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. The decisions followed a Kenya-bound Boeing 737 MAX 8 crash just 6 minutes after taking off from an airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Al-Hassan Sise has more.
The chief executive officer of the Boeing company has said work is in progress to learn more about the Ethiopian Airlines accident and understand the information from the airline's cockpit voice and flight data recorders. Our team is on site with investigators to support the investigation and provide technical expertise. The Ethiopian Accident Investigation Bureau will determine when and how it's appropriate to release additional details, Dennis Muilenburg said in a letter. It came after many countries, including Turkey, Canada, the US, and Russia, closed their airspace to Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. The decisions followed a Kenya-bound Boeing 737 MAX 8 crash just 6 minutes after taking off from an airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. All 157 people on board, 149 passengers, and 8 crew members were killed in the crash that occurred on March 10th. The plane model was also involved in an October crash outside of Jakarta, Indonesia. All 189 people on board Lion Air flight JT610 were killed. This crash too took place shortly after takeoff. Soon we will release a software update and related pilot training for the 737 MAX that will address concerns discovered in the aftermath of the Lion Air Flight 610 accident, Muilenburg said. We know lives depend on the work we do, and our teams embrace that responsibility with a deep sense of commitment every day, Muilenburg said, adding the company's aim was to bring family, friends, and loved ones together safely. He noted that they were working with third parties to understand the facts of what happened in this accident. Muilenburg recalled over a century-long history of the Boeing in the aviation field and said, "We will continue providing the best products, training, and support to our global airline customers and pilots." Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Alhassan Sise.
Coming up after the break, a total of 40 people were evacuated from a territory near the EU headquarters in Belgium's capital, Brussels, upon a bomb threat that never existed. Welcome back. We remind you that you're watching the World Today Evening Bulletin. Let's now take a look at the remaining stories. Barely 3 days after the deadly bombing in Belgium, a bomb threat was received yesterday near the EU headquarters in Brussels. In 22nd March 2016, 3 coordinated suicide bombings occurred in Belgium. 2 at Brussels Airport in Zaventem and 1 at Melbag Metro Station in central Brussels. Yesterday, Allah targeted a building institution providing consultancy services to the EU Commission, which was evacuated after it received a bomb threat. Police have cordoned off part of the street. Firefighters and bomb disposal experts were referred to the scene. Police later confirmed that the earlier bomb threat was a false alarm. Al-Hassan Sise has more.
A total of 40 people were evacuated from a territory near to the EU headquarters in Belgium's capital, Brussels, upon a bomb threat. A building of institution providing consultancy services to the EU Commission was evacuated on Breudel Street after it received a bomb threat. Police have cordoned off part of the street. Firefighters and bomb disposal experts were referred to the scene. Police say an earlier bomb threat in Brussels was a false alarm. Seen combining an area near the European Union's headquarters in the Belgian capital around midday after an anonymous bomb threat was allegedly made by telephone. The European Commission claimed the threat was made to a company linked to the EU and had been taken seriously. Margaritis Sinas, a spokesperson for European Commission, told the Daily Press briefing said its staff were using alternative entrances as a result of the incident. This threat came barely 3 years after the deadly bombing in Belgium as on the morning of 22nd March 2016. 3 coordinated suicide bombings at Brussels Airport in Zaventem and 1 at Malbec Metro Station in central Brussels. 32 civilians and 3 perpetrators were killed and more than 300 people were injured. Another bomb was found during a search of the airport. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant claimed responsibility for the attacks. The perpetrators belong to a involved in the November 2015 Paris attacks. The Brussels bombing happened shortly after a series of police raids targeting the group. The bombings were the deadliest act in Belgium's history. Reporting for iAfrica TV, I am Alhassan Sise.
A UN spokesperson said there was significant progress towards an agreement to implement Phase 1 of the redeployment of the Hodeidah Agreement. UN spokesperson Farhan Haq told reporters that UN Special Envoy for Yemen Martin Griffith's discussions with parties to the conflicts were constructive, saying there was significant progress towards an of the redeployment of the Hudaydah Agreement. He said operational details would be presented to the parties in the Redeployment Coordination Committee (RCC) for endorsement shortly. Here is an insert.
Martin Griffiths, the Special Envoy for Yemen, said today that following constructive discussions with both parties, there's significant progress towards an agreement to implement the redeployments of the Hudaydah Agreement. Operational details will be presented to the parties in the Redeployment Coordination Committee for endorsement shortly. The Special Envoy welcomes the progress made by the parties and looks forward to the swift endorsement of the plan by the RCC. The UN hopes that this will pave the way towards the pursuit of a comprehensive political solution in Yemen.
Well, viewers, that's all we have for you on the World Today Evening Bulletin. For more on these and other stories, kindly log on to our website.